Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wrestling Experience. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Thursday edition of the show. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be discussing AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite took place last night in beautiful Sacramento, California. We're going to discuss all of that and so much more here tonight on the Wrestling Experience. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss AEW Dynamite. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to also rewind the. Um, we're also going to be rewinding Revolution. All of that tonight here on the Hardcore Sports Network.
Now with the hottest show in the universe, the Wrestling Experience, with your host Earl Cole.
Acknowledge me.
Coming at you with all the dope shit, freshest WWE content, and also the AEW. You are now watching The Experience, the Wrestling Experience. Now with your host Earl Cole.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Experience. It's another Thursday night. We want to welcome you to the streams. We want to welcome you to another edition of the Wrestling Experience. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be discussing AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite last night took place in Sacramento, California, home of the Kings, and we're going to discuss that. And of course, tonight we are going to rewind one of the most I believe one of the most greatest pay-per-views ever produced by AEW, known as Revolution. Revolution took place this past Sunday night, and we're going to talk about that and rewind it. But I'm not here alone, ladies and gentlemen. I have a great content creator, talks about football, talks about wrestling, and of course, he is a great friend of mine, and of course, he's a great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me help you welcome the one and the only Rafael to the screen. Let me just add him to the streams. There we go. Rafael.
Yes.
Rafael,
Yes,
welcome.
sir. What's up? What's
Welcome.
up? Thank
Welcome
you.
to the wrestling experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Raphael, let me ask you a question. What did
Uh-huh.
you make of the overall build for last night's AEW Dynamite?
Oh, I will say the overall between the A and EW, that was really great. But I think that the most important thing that I just saw that is between the match of Orange Cassidy versus Jay Lethal, all the Atlantic Championship, and of course they got like an announcement. He had to go to now. This got to change to All Atlantic to International Championship due to Tony Khan, which is the owner, and of
Yeah.
course I think one of the top moments right there it's from Ruby Soho versus Sky Blue, and of course they got the Jericho Appreciation Society, which I just saw because they have 1 year to get out of this faction. And of course, I would love to see more of these the Jericho Appreciation Night. And of course, we just saw like the Elite versus the House of Black versus Jericho. I mean, this is so much very great. I mean, the match was really good, but it was clearly to the secondaries after the bell, and I think that that was really great. And of course, the Dark Order versus Blackpool Combat Club. And what can I say about it? Even the last but not least, which is the championship between Warlock versus Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, Field would call it like the great match. But it was shockingly funny with the idea of losing a title. He worked so routine 3 days ago. It is like no
Yeah, I
fear.
mean, we're gonna discuss that tonight. We're gonna discuss because I was not happy with that decision. I'm not happy with it. I don't mind Powerhouse Hobbs winning the title. I don't have
Yeah.
an issue with it. It is the way we got to it is what I have an issue with, and we're gonna discuss that. So let's talk about the first thing that happened here. Let's talk about Mr. Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks opened the show last night, and he came out and he did a promo. What happened afterwards was really not good for Mr. Starks because he met somebody from the Bullet Club. Rafael, what did you make of the Ricky Starks promo?
I mean, for the Ricky Stars promo was, I mean, that was really phenomenal. I mean, he got the audacity to make like everyone's just better, stronger because I will say that because for me, Ricky Stars, he had a lot of sparks about that, and he was like before at the scroll because he won that match between Chris Jericho, and I was like, wow, they're just like at the peaky that was really interested with the mic, and he was ready to take on a new step for this career, and I think he's gonna be ready because after he was doing after Chris Jericho, I think it got a lot of forward to opportunity for whether they go the stars for they can finally do shorter push fans that be claiming like whether the feels an entire run of the company. Maybe
Right.
stars will come at it after Orange Cassidy match with Jay Lethal, or maybe like an intro a program with the winner of the TNT Championship, or maybe he really step up and become the Nets long-term challenger, be care of MGF. But he had a not too distant future because he's very lucky to have starts, even though they had the spotted WWE once for this calendar year. But he take like a lot of responsibility about that. But it was very important to see how really incredible of Ricky Starks on the mic, and of course his moves. I mean, I really cared about it because he brought like a lot of spark to do about it. But
Right.
he was so great he can never stick up. I mean, he was very frustrated because I think it believe this time because the biggest enemy, and of course he was selling down because I really thought that he's not very with the sentiment, but he was like feeling like the feel wave at a certain point, and he was struggling about it. He was really he was really he was really struggling. And I know about this promo between Ricky Stars versus MGF, and that was like, wow, they were said it before. I should understand like he's doing like the great thing about it, but he need that really push to go to the next level. So I would say it about it.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment. I like the promo. I thought the promo was great. He addressed the audience. I thought that he was very good at what he did. But
Yep.
Juice Robinson came out and he crashed the party. Juice Robinson came out and attacked Ricky Starks. And I guess that this is going to be a program that Ricky Starks will be going into. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Um, yeah, he was a non-factor as of late. So Tony Khan has his work cut out for him and hopes to establish some kind of real threat to Starks. Um,
Mhm.
I I like the fact that this promo proved to be, he was celebrating his victory and everything, but everybody is like, Juice Robinson is not really a threat to Ricky Starks. Look, listen, I don't care about that. What I care about is you want to make sure that he stays relevant. And you want to make sure that he gets into a program where he can probably get some more wins under his belt, and then he'll be ready for that all Atlantic Championship. Now the international championship. And I think that is something that needs to be expounded upon here. So I have no issues whatsoever with this promo, and I had no issues with when Juice Robinson came into the ring and attack starts. So I had no issues with it whatsoever. Um, Good stuff, good promo, good package to kick off Dynamite. Let's talk about this next thing for a second here. Ruby Soho took on Sky Blue. The match was great. The match was okay. I like what Ruby Soho said when she was in the ring with Renee Paquette. She finally explained why Saraya and Tony Storm and herself turned heel. Apparently, she says that the audience turned their backs on them, especially Ruby Soho. She talked about getting booed out of the building by the audience. See, now this is the way you're supposed to do heel work. This is how you build a heel. I love this.
Hmm.
I absolutely loved it because now it explains why these three women became Mean Girls heels and why they are spray painting people.
Hmm.
What did you think of it,
Yes.
Rafael?
Rubo, she embraced all the blood, whether they watch it or not, because she she got it the right spark right there because she was told that was wrestling. It was like the beautiful melting pot of things because there's somebody out for everybody. Because in fact,
Right,
Ruby Soho, she's a woman and she's blading that they're like cool with like mods and GF and what it was doing because she was like she wanted all the women wrestlers to be treated equality to treat it like the thing. So I think this is gonna be like very very important about it. So I wanted to think of that promo right there. She embraced all the blood, like not only inside but also outside, because she was so she surprised the entire the wrestling world because she was standing on her heel on Jimmy Hadley with this happened on the Revolution.
right.
But I would say that because she was absolutely surprised because that would play like a told a pretty good story. Calling back it all the time with the NEW's fan boulevard here at the building after she was beating Chris Stamford in a tournament match. But also she was like finally called out for the fans for immediately turning their backs on Saraya. It's like just like a trolls have to pretend that they wanted her to get retirement. Also, she was
Right.
admitted that her new attitude, she was defending Sky Blue in a single session. And she would come to stop to spare that this slave for the turning off a night guild. For all these three heels within the town, it gave us like a spray turning right there. So they just communed to use the word had to describe between Saraja and of course the ANEW originals. But I think that she got that blood inside, like at the heel. But if you had other problems, so don't even watch it because Ruby Soho, she wants like everything. But she got that blood inside and outside, like a good heel. I mean, of course, she's a woman, but even though she got that blood that nobody thought is going to happen, and like she's one of the best, and I have to be careful about it because she's turning out like heel and she's very dangerous.
Yeah, no, well, now that she's a heel, now that
Hmm.
she's a heel, she's going to be very vicious in the ring. Now that she's a heel, I think the best moment for me with this segment was when she says that the crowd loved when Britt Baker defeated her in New York Grand Slam. She said the crowd loved it.
Yeah, the crowd was
Um,
low with it.
yeah, yeah. She says that the crowd loved it. I mean I was there. I was there. I didn't love her losing the match. I don't know where she got that from. But anyway, I digress. But I'm glad that they did this because for weeks now, I have been confused, ladies and gentlemen, as to why did you transform these women into these bitchy heels? and like spray painting the word loser and all of this. I didn't understand why this was happening, but now I got some clarification. Now it's clear to me exactly why this was taking place and why this was happening. So kudos to AEW for doing that. As far as the match is concerned, it was okay. It was okay. The match was okay.
It was.
Yeah, the Sky Blue, she's learning. She's being taught in the ring by Madison Rain. She's being trained by Madison Rain in the ring, and she did show a good showing, but Ruby Soho is just way too much for her. And Ruby Soho went
Mhm.
over in this match, and the match was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the promo. I enjoyed the match.
Yep.
So yeah, so that was some good stuff. Um, AR Fox and Top Flight took on Jericho Appreciation Society. The match was great. The match was fun. The match was what else could I say? I love I love AR Fox. I'm a big fan of AR Fox. And I love Top Flight. One of my favorite tag teams of all time is is Top Flight. I love Top Flight. I love me some Top Flight. I really do. And they're gonna go places. I know they're gonna go places. Rafael,
Mhm.
what do you think about the match?
I mean, that match was really good, but I was thinking about it because you just gotta wrap it. Because when it comes to Air Fox versus Jericho Appreciate, and that's why they just have it like 1 year because they are really incredible. I mean, that's
Hmm.
something that you can never stick it about it because this faction has always stayed for a welcome for like 2 years, and I think that
Right,
they requested like an open challenge right there because that was looking for. But even though they
but
had a little surprise, like the allied between Kenny Omega and of course the House of Black, I was just like, wow, that was very shocking about it. I think that when it comes to like the because they wanted the title so bad, like the trios, because they
right,
just put it like they put it at the end. But I think this is gonna be like it all depends. It all depends for the trio championship. I mean,
right.
this is something. This is something really important because we got the Jericho Appreciation match, and of course we got the House of Black, the Allied. It's like, man, this is gonna be like really, really, really intense. I mean, the match was really good, but if they have it like a lot of more intensity, that's what we're looking for. And so there's more good about it. And I would love to see like the triple threat match, which is very interesting because right now that's what the people need to say about this storyline. Because not only is it about like legendary on the wrestling, but also we can see like brand new faces. And I think that's really good enough to see how much is very interesting about that match. And I would love to see that trio between for the championship. And that was because after securing like the win, it was like those trios had to become something about it because it doesn't have to become like a number one contender work because normally the team I think wins or at least the most
Yeah,
important wins. But as they get to the honor for the moniker, they kind of for the championship shot. Jericho has never worked at a trio before Dynamite. It's not about Jericho, Guevara, or Garcia because I had a few
right,
against officially Tom because they needed something to feed to Jericho. They wanted to just sort of put against the House of Black and see what happens because the lives of the
right,
scene was attended, but there wasn't a clip that sounds like because of right now for the light and everything. So they did it from the finish for the stop, and something that they wanted to cut him out of the down to sides, and let's see, this is gonna be like a really important challenge, and I would love to see that they could have finished about it. That was like
right.
interesting setup, an amazing matchup that get us right here. But looking no further ahead of the main event for these edition, they match is so really excited. After tons of interesting to keep an eye for all these 9 minutes, or they be like storytelling that is not about like pay-per-view caliber match like cast on free TV. I mean, this is very important. I mean, that a show out to change belts, it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you know something, to be honest with you, this match was I love some high flying action. I absolutely love it. This match was great. I love me some AR Fox. I love me some Top Flight. Jericho wins the match when Hager interfered by using the bat and then the Judas effect. They went over in the match. And then what happened was afterwards was even great too. House of Black came out, the Elite came out, and we got this big match happening next week in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And for the trios title, and that's going to be a banger. The match is going to be a banger, no doubt about that. Um, I can't wait to watch that match next week in Winnipeg. I think that's going to tear the house down.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and this match was great. I had no
Yep.
issues with the winner whatsoever. Match was fantastic. Um, so let's talk about FTR. FTR came out, ladies and gentlemen, and they cut a promo last night. They were interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and you know, rumors were speculating that Top Flight was going to leave AEW and go to WWE. I don't think that that's the case anymore. I think that those rumors need to be debunked because apparently FTR claimed that they're going to go after the guns for those titles, and I think they're going to build that up for Double or Nothing. Um, I think that's the road I think Tony Khan and AEW want to travel on. So I don't have any issues with that whatsoever. You know, you build up the feud, you build up the animosity with these teams, and then
Uh-huh.
you have them in the ring at Double or Nothing, and you have the Guns defending those titles at Double or Nothing. And again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, I don't have no issues with it.
Exactly.
So what did you make of the promo, Raphael?
I mean, technically, Hardwood has been like primary defense for the return for like weeks. It's nothing happened like let's have to return to television before the contract expiry months after their guaranteed time to regulate their futures. And the Doom seems like there's something to the prospect of being standard like to say in the promotion. And that was before Dynamite because they were just asking it about the status. There's gonna be like nothing has changed. But I think that the problem with it said they just renew about the contracts. And he was telling about the pros and cons of being like in NEW and of course WWE. And he was
Right,
saying that he will never play that monetary game because it right now is strictly on happiness. And he
right,
was saying about the pro of saying NW because this is the greatest schedule that they come home and stay with the family. And of course, there's only one thing that he was present because they are the number one money making wrestling company. But it is that they have the creative higher right now because they could have given like creativity higher up because these are numbers like one wrestling promotion as an proven by the start to strictly like it comes to happiness and they don't want to say there was right, there was wrong, it doesn't matter because they need to go to the sea like the family and it seems like everybody else. But it half of they go to Twitter the same life, but most definitely if they ever sign with ANEW, we fans will forever how the London's to return what's in the works or whatever. Not Cambria like originally like the team back where they knew this is going like leaving in the month and a half or either way just letting up the opportunities to come in itself with his tag team partner. And because of
right.
this moment he was doing with the best of the friends, the families, that only really matters. But it comes to say nothing has changed and but they're allowed to plan it all because they all understand what they do and where they're going. It's all about like creating it. It's like the great schedule because it's very flexible. At least it's coming to the mind to April, we can see what label like independent bookings, great relationship with New Japan, doing Comic Cons and the other fans. I think this is gonna be like there's auditions. We got because they could do the scales in the favor and they're calling the options for that future.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I I I had no, like I said before, I had no issues with this promo whatsoever. I think they're staking their claim. They want those tag team belts and everything, and I agree with the assessment of yourself, and I agree with the promo. I think Dax Harwood and FTR are going to go after the guns, and I who knows, maybe they will become new tag team champs. Maybe we'll see that at Double or Nothing. Who knows? But again, the promo was great. I thought it hit home for me. Um, I'm glad to see FTR back because they're another favorite of mine, and they are old school tag team, and I love them. I think they're great. That match that they had with in Ring of Honor with the Briscoes, absolutely fabulous. One of the best FTR matches I've ever seen in a long time. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. What we're going to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on, is recognize some people in the chat. So let's see what's going on. Beyond the Scripts podcast. What's up, Earl? I Beyond the Scripts podcast. How are you? Hit the like button. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for coming into the show. 1 Minute Wrestler with Jesse Jackhammer. How are you? Hi. Thank you very much for popping in. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, make sure that you subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. Follow them on Twitch at Hardcore Sports One. Follow them on Instagram at
Yes.
Hardcore Sports. And of course, follow them and also subscribe to their YouTube channel. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to Rafael's YouTube channel. And of course,
Yes.
hit the like button on all of our channels. We greatly appreciate it. Um, and of course, make sure that you also subscribe to the All Star Sports Network. That's Philly Sports Talk, Robert and Tyler's new channel. Make sure you subscribe to them as well. And Robert, what's up? How are you tonight? Thank you for popping into the
Hello, Robert.
wrestling. Yes, and welcome to the Wrestling Experience. Thank you so much, all, for joining us here tonight on the Wrestling Experience. Again, Beyond the Scripts podcast. I'm glad that you're good. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move forward. Let's move forward here,
Hmm.
and let's see what we're going to talk about next. Okay, so we had John Silver taking on Alex Reynolds and John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. Let me just say something here before we go forward with this. John Moxley was I don't know how John Moxley did this match because we're going to talk about this later, but John Moxley was in a war, and I mean a war. Sunday night with Hangman Adam Page. I mean, the both men absolutely tore each other apart at Revolution. And let me tell you something, I don't even know how John Moxley did this match. God bless John Moxley and his stamina and his will to just get in that ring and be a whirling dervish because that's what John Moxley is. He is a whirling dervish. You don't know what you're going to get with John Moxley. You really don't. And I thought that the match was a banger. But we're going to discuss that later. But anyway, this match in particular, the Combat Club, of course, they are heels and they just beat the stew. They beat the stew out of John Silver and Alex Reynolds. You know, and that was the top moment of the night when they beat the stew out of them as after the bell to dominate the action throughout the commercial, despite momentary sparks from Reynolds. Silver, you know, he was just neutralized all of the time in this match. So the match was great. To be honest with you all, the match was great. I had no issues with it. Um, what did you think of it, Rafael?
Ooh, I think because that was the Dark Order feels like Benev between Claudio and Mosley of it is plural enough because he was just like they show up like more than important, and he was like shockingly like at the turn heel. But I think that he was surprisingly about the sinister side. But I think that was like most interesting about it. It's like a the battle because somehow there's gonna be a turn heel. But I think that because he was dominated, he was just like in the match. He was just like there was a lot of things that are the more, and of course that the conflict between the change of the Blackpool. It was something with the help of Hangman Page. He was just like re- recovering and thought about it. But I was like, there's a lot of things to do, like watching this match. But I think that it surprisingly turns out. But I think that the match is gonna be like they're not gonna keep an eyes on it because they just
Right,
started. They just started
right,
because I think what other than the members had to replay like a natural good Reynolds earlier, but it was like also it's just brilliant attack. But he was just like the trio. They just turned heels that are shocking and like their wrestling actions. But I think that was really they're like the starting themselves obviously like really because no one else is gonna have it like the returning heels. No one else is gonna be expecting the most like incredible things. But I will say to this, it was so much great, but I was like surprisingly shocking about the heel,
right.
about the club. But I was like, wow, that was really necessary. But I think there's a lot of things that are to prove it about it because they had to reevaluate it about has happening about the storyline between the Dark Order versus Blackpool Combat Club. It gives it like a lot of things to watch, and of course this is gonna be in this part. The storyline is gonna be like keeping for months, including like the shocking twist of events.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I agree with that. Wholeheartedly. Like I said before, this combat club, man, they're vicious. And
Yeah,
with
they're really
Moxley,
vicious.
yeah, they're very vicious. And with Moxley being the head of this faction, who knows where this group's gonna go? But last night they showed their dominance. Yuta, Claudio, and Moxley, they just absolutely dominated the whole night and dominated. And then of course the brawl after the match. And
Hmm.
I don't know. Hangman said in an interview with Renee Paquette, he's done with Moxley. But you know something, I don't know about that because when he was in the ring, when he slid in the ring to help the Dark Order, he seemed to want to go after Moxley again. So I'm not sure what this is, what what this means, what this all means. But
I mean, this.
anyway,
Mhm.
what were you saying, Raphael?
I would say that when we came to the darker side for the characters, but then it seems like they enter like the official territory for the first time because they after one tapping out for Alice Reynolds, he might be just not gonna refuse to let it go, but he was trashing it like the original like the referee. But besides it about that, there's always been like the anti-hero. He's also like the most popular stars when it comes to the possible to feed the character has a golden state in which probably a heel like the Blackpool Combat Come is work well in the program in the Turkish sits. And he thinks like along the harder possible to ratifications to get the train fans to actively like not only booing John Moxley but also the Blackpool Combat Club. This is like it's mainly like the biggest storyline that I ever see. There's gonna be like there's gonna be a lot of months to hear about it.
Right. Well, I do agree with that. And the thing is that like I said, the match was great. The match was fantastic. I love me some John Moxley because you just never know what you're gonna get in the match. You really don't. You don't know what you're gonna get from him. You don't know which way the wind he blows. So you don't know where you don't know where he's gonna come
Okay.
from. You know.
Yeah.
When you and there's no way you could study Moxley match to even counter what he's got going on. Um, so anyway, that was some good stuff. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're up to the main event of Dynamite. Um, this was Wardlow taking on Powerhouse Hobbs in a falls count anywhere match. The match was good, but I have an issue with the ending, and I just don't like playing hot potato with titles. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't like when you put it on a champion and then you strip them of it and then you give it to somebody else and then they get it. And then, so Tony Khan has to learn that you need to have, if you want to have this TNT championship, they need to be prominent champions. They can't just be one 3-day champion, 6-day champion, and then you strip them of it. It ruins the mystique of the title. It ruins everything that that the title stands for, and you ruin the person holding the title.
Hmm.
And I don't like that at all. I don't have any issues with Hobbs winning the match and get it is the way we got there. I think that this feud should have been built up and it should have been built up correctly. I don't think that they should have gave Powerhouse Hobbs the championship that quickly and stripping Wardlow of it. I don't think that that was a necessary. I think that was an unnecessary move. He just won it 3 days ago.
Hmm.
So why would you strip him? I did not like this decision at all. I did not like the ending at all. I know everybody says, "Oh, well, it's Powerhouse Hobbs and he needed the championship." What's up, Big Boy Flex Shiny TV? How are you? Thank you for coming in. Um, I just wasn't a fan of it. I was not a fan of it. I don't like playing hot potato with titles. The match was fine, but the ending, the way we got there, I didn't like it. Rafael,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think I was just like, wow, that was very shocking. Even the finale, I just didn't like it because not only Wardlow had to only to deal even more loss because he was lost to the TNT champion because it happened because the match was held in like fall counts everywhere. Anything goes rules and then another then the marshal came out for the steal and he was really counted after a match because he even throw like a crash pad. He was the he was the one demolition and he was stolen once more. And now he's gonna be like the shortest title reign of any champion in the NEW history because he had to go to vacate the belt, and that was tied for the shortest time period with the Allied and, of course, CM Punk. Because he was saying that he was dealing with a great deal of loss. Because unfortunately, he had to borrow some clothes because he wasn't anything about it. Because they were planning on like the teaching Will House with the respect, but it was just like the ending wasn't that good that we saw about that, but that was like the wrong kind of history on the AEW Dynamite, and
Right.
because it decided the worst of like the worst possible way. But I think that that was not very enough about it. So they had a new champion. That's okay, but it ended like the worst thing because it's not happening like the year of Wardo as Maestro making because he was just like they had to go to the shortest reign. I
Right.
mean, anything could have happened.
Um, I didn't care for this. I didn't care for it. Um,
Hmm.
you know, as I said before, and I'll say it again, as a fan, you want to have long-term booking here.
Hmm.
And I think that the long-term booking would have fit this feud. And I think they should have waited. I don't think that they should have pulled the trigger. I mean, Wardlow just won the title on Sunday. What was the purpose of him having win the title? Then what you should have done was is if you were going to do that to Wardlow again, if you were going to do this to him again, um, Kofi Weaston, how are you? How we hit that like button? Um, if you were going to do to that to him again, then you should have had Samoa Joe retain. Then you should have had Samoa Joe retain, and then build up the feud, and then at Double or Nothing, if that is the time that you wanted him to drop the title, then give it to him like that.
Hmm.
But I just feel that this was a wrong move. I didn't care for it at all.
I mean, anything could happen because that was the worst booking that I just ran like this pyramid.
Yes,
And I know
exactly.
and I know that Waller has been through like the worst things possible, but that was the worst way to booking it. Like at the end, at the end of the second hour, that was just the worst possible way to end it. It's like everything is gonna went to home and to say, oh my god, this is like
Yeah, and
a nightmare.
then on top of it, you had QT Marshall interfere in the match and help Wardlow. I mean, and help Powerhouse Hobbs win the title. I didn't. I mean, what sense did that make? What was the purpose of that? What was the purpose of that?
I mean those creators had no idea because they how the hell is gonna do the put like in the middle of the worst possible and the worst moment they have Wardlow, it just like feel like there's nothing about it because I think that it is some creative writers that he had to put the audacity to put like the main event at the worst thing possible. That I was
Right.
just like, oh my god. It sounds like the creative writers need to reevaluate it about for the second hour when it comes to the main event match because it's gonna be like really sparkle. There's no screwing it up.
And like I said before, and I'll say it again. Like I said, I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with Hobbs becoming a champion. Maybe one day in the future. Maybe one day. But this was the wrong decision to do. This was the wrong decision. I mean, like I said before, Warlow just won the match Sunday night. And then all of a sudden, Tony Khan is like, well, I'm just going to just play hot potato here with the title. And I'm just going to just strip him of it and then transfer it over to Hobbs. I don't
I
like
mean,
that. I don't like
yeah,
that at all.
yeah.
Did not like the main event. Match was fine. The way we got there to give Hobbs the championship, I didn't care for it. Not a good booking decision, Tony Khan. Not a good booking decision.
I think Tony Khan needs to reevaluate it about how they're gonna fit the main events at the last moment, like like the second hour. They need to reevaluate it and see what's going on for the creator writers to put like matches to book those matches.
Well,
Because I
he's the
just see
one. Well, he's the one that creates all of the matches. He's the one that does the booking. He's the writer. He doesn't have a writing team. Tony Khan doesn't have a writing team, and he needs to understand that now that you gave Hobbs the championship, would you please, for the love of God, please let Hobbs have a long title reign. Don't play no more hot potato with the title. I don't want to see that anymore. I think that it is the wrong thing to do.
Mhm.
If you're going to give it to Hobbs, okay, fine. Let Hobbs have a decent title reign. I don't want to see him lose it 3 days. I don't want to see him lose it in 6 days. I don't want to see that man losing it anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think when I just say it, they need to reevaluate it so bad when it comes to the second hour, because the second hour is the most important thing when it comes to the main event, and they're not gonna get screwed up for booking like a worst match possible.
Well, I mean, like I said before, the match was fine. I had no issues with, but the way, like I said before, and I don't want to keep beating this like a dead horse, but it's the way we got there is not good.
Hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was AEW Dynamite. That was AEW Dynamite,
Yeah.
and I gave it a solid B. Um, you know, the main event just soured me to no end. Um, Rafael, what overall grade do you give Dynamite?
Okay, for me, like at the overall, because right now the show, I will give it like 8 to 10, 8 to 10, because there's a few matches that I really like it. There are some promos that I just like it, which is Ruby Soho, there is Ricky Stars, and of course there is John Moxley. But the only issue that I really don't like it, because they need to repair it, is between Warlock versus Hubs, which they had at a bad booking. So I would say 8 to 10, 8 to 10. That's my review.
Okay. Well, let's just yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, that was AEW Dynamite. That was Dynamite. Good stuff, good stuff. I just did not like the ending. Um, Gregor John, how are you? Hi, thank you for coming on in, and please hit that like button. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about something really good. AEW Revolution. Revolution took place Sunday night, March the 5, from the Chase Center in downtown San Francisco, California. And my word, my word, my word, I cannot stop talking about this pay per view. This was a banger. This was absolutely fantastic. This pay per view, ladies and gentlemen, was flawless. It gave me chills. Now, the build for the pay per view was lackluster. It wasn't good. The build. However, salute William. How are you? Salute to you, my friend. Salute. However, ladies and gentlemen, however, this the what was produced was absolutely flawless. The matches were red hot. The matches had time to marinate. The build for these matches were great. Like I said before, the build for the entire pay per view was lackluster. But let me tell you something. What we got out of it was nothing short of sensational. It was a banger. It was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. Paul, New York, how are you? Kofi Winston, everybody in the chat, hit that like button. Thank you. And subscribe to my channel and subscribe to Rafael. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about this for a second. Rafael, let me ask you a question. What did you make of AEW Revolution?
I mean, that pay-per-view was awesome. From the beginning to the end, that was really great. I think they had the broad idea to fusionate some good things at the pay-per-view because they just went through like because it didn't know the process of writing. So we're just gonna book like a good match that fit perfectly right. And I will say this because that's what it comes to like the process. That's what it comes to the process to create something incredible, something that shocks everyone in the world. Even know about that, the AEW Dynamite, which is very great, and of course the pay-per-view Revolution, because that's one of the best so far for this year, and it helps for the company to grow up like more better. Because after like the bad issues, bad like bad ratings, I think this is the opportunity to see A&E Revolution, the pay-per-view, makes everyone's incredible because they have so many matches that we can call it a banger, which is I would
Thank
give it
you.
like 10, 10.5 to 10. That was like really amazing because those matches are really incredible. And besides about that, they created the process right there. It's just like a fusionated about those good things. That's what happens when they got to book so many good matches, and they had to struggle so many things that we learned about it.
Yes, and let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This match, these matches that we're going to talk about now, ladies and gentlemen, were just fabulous. I mean, it brought out the best in me, and as a wrestling fan, I was thoroughly, thoroughly impressed and thoroughly satisfied for what was being produced. Um, William M says, Earl, love what you guys are doing in the Hardcore Sports Network. Thank you very much, William. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Um, Great show. Thank you very much, Gregor John. We appreciate it. Yo, Earl and Raphael. Wrestle Sense Podcast. Hello, Blaze Radio. How you
Hello,
doing?
Lace.
Earl, the stew was amazing on this show. Yes, thank you very much, Gregor John. I greatly appreciate it. So let's talk about this first match,
Uh-uh.
Raphael.
Yes.
The varsity athletes and Ari Davari took on Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers. The match was great. The match was a banger. I love me some Ray Phoenix. I love me some Ray Phoenix. And you know something what was great about this match? You know, Ray Phoenix and Penta, they coordinate so well together. They look great coming down the ring in their ring attire. I love their ring
Mhm.
attire. And I think they look great together. And Mark Sterling, you know, he's a stooge. You know, he's one of those stooge, but he plays his part very well as a stooge. So I like some Mark Sterling too. The match was great. I had no issues with the winner whatsoever. Mark Briscoe got a great reaction from everybody in the Chase Center, and the crowd was great. I have to give it up to the San Francisco audience. They really brought it Sunday night. They really did for AEW's debut. Again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, the match was fantastic. The match was great. I had no issues with the match whatsoever. Um, Raphael, what did you think of the match?
Between Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers, I think that
Yeah,
this is the opportunity to see more Briscoe, since that was officially signing with AEW and Ferrari and making his reign debut for the promotions. I think they're gonna capture it about rebels the passions of old fans. Like they even found some new old friends, the Lucha
Yeah.
Brothers that they come to wrestling in 2018, everybody that comes, and he wants to continue to shine. He was sort of like the leader of the varsity athletes. He was really smart because he becomes like really upset with the success, but it becomes
Mhm.
sort of Gollum chasing after the reign of the honor about it. So for this point, I think that match was really good. But they are certified showmen, and they got all the crowd hyped up as much as anyone on the card could have. For like a show for one Premier contest, booking Briscoe to win like a Froggy World, that was a real Clark Priestler. And I
Right.
was like, that was a good old fashioned things that we're just looking at for. And I think that's the opportunity after Jay passed out. I think it is the opportunity to see more Briscoe to bring the opportunity so much more at the AEW because he brought that showman to the comes. Everybody knows that the hub was really high because they had the synchronized spots, and that was like the fantastic moment for for years. I mean, this is gonna be like they took like very incredible everything comes like to one of the most incredible wrestlers that we were looking at for. So it was like they bring up the nostalgia about it, but it seems like Mark Briscoe is gonna happen. It's gonna happen for like they have one of these spark and it goes to this year.
Right. Um. Yeah, I agree. And William says, Rafael, salute to you. Okay,
Hello,
well, thank
Williams.
you.
Salute. Thank you.
Like I said before, and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen, this match was great. One spot in the match, Phoenix took a nasty, ugly bump in the corner after he got a brain buster from Woods in the match, and I was like, "This, I mean, is he going to get up from this?" But Ray Phoenix, let me tell you something. If you're not a fan of Ray Phoenix, you can't be a wrestling fan. You cannot be a wrestler because I love me some Ray Phoenix. What this man can do he is one of my favorite luchadors. What Ray Phoenix does in a ring, in a wrestling ring, is I don't know what to say. There is no words or adjectives that I can describe of Ray Phoenix. Really, he's really good. The match was great. I love the way the 0 hour. And let me just say something. All of these matches that we're going to discuss tonight, everybody won cleanly. Everybody won cleanly. We got some. I had no issues with none of the winners whatsoever. These matches were a banger. So let's talk about this first match. This kicked off Revolution. It was Ricky Starks took on Chris Jericho. This was a good match. Fantastic. I loved it. It made me smile from ear to ear. The Jericho Appreciation Society was banned from this match, even though they tried to come out and interfere. Um, if thwarted them and send them to the back, and Ricky Starks goes over in the match. I thought this match was fantastic. It was fun. It was crisp. It was flowing. They had great chemistry in the ring. I love the little nuances of the match. Absolutely great. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Hands down. Great stuff. Rafael, what did you think of the match?
For me, between Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho, that was like really phenomenal. And they have to go to the distance against and securing like the first ever win on a pay-per-view was riding high. And that was just like a little back and forth in action with anything about it. But they showed like the abrasive energy. And he was asking how the plant is gonna do momentum going like earning one of the biggest of this career. And of course was taken aback because he thought that he was lost in the area early in the year. He was putting like the entire rooster because he was on notice. but he
Hmm.
was just like at this point he was really contending for a championship. If anyone's something to ask it about Ricky Starks, it can't be like the championship. It could be like the TNT championship. It could be like that. It could be like all the three. It could be because he already proved to be he's come a main eventer.
Right.
He proved that he's the guy, and he was gonna like at the time for gold. So he was just like he was like a great cap, but it doesn't stop here. So he what it takes to like become the ANEW more like what are the companies officially recognized belts. He's just like even like in the middle of some of the mini boss made way for a like layover, but he was doing like the correct submersible over the next few months where prepared for the territory. And so we like at the shanty he was deep to the bite up for a point more. But he has something about it. Even in those interview has nothing to say about nice things about this Chris Jericho about this media session. Because he was saying there's a few things that he learned about Chris. Because he was very masterful type of conductor. Because he was getting learning from Chris. He was the right things were the good at the moment. That was gonna be very abrasive. He embraced it
Right.
about that. And he was wondering why it's so interesting that we're still like the second time we already secure it. Because he was better that anyone. I mean, that's something that we can never forget about it. And I think it is gonna be ready for the next level. And of course, he just won against Chris Jericho. That's just one of the first steps to become one of the biggest superstars.
Yes, I agree. I agree with your entire package and your assessment. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen, the crowd was split. The crowd was split in this match because they were conflicted. Half of them said go Jericho, half of them said Ricky Starks, half of them says Jericho. Um, but I loved it. The triangle drop kick still looks good from Jericho. He did that very well. Um, Starks hit that tornado DDT on Jericho, and Starks wins with the Rochambeau. In the end, he wins with the Rochambeau and he goes over Jericho. This was a great match. This was a great match. I had no issues with this match whatsoever. Again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, great stuff, good match, perfectly right outcome, right, great fluidity of the match. It wasn't rushed. It was they took their time. They sold everything. They sold every bump, every nuance in the match. I had no issues with it whatsoever. Good stuff. Thumbs up across the board for me and Rafael. Now,
Yes.
here is something that was really good. This was a triple A, triple A, triple gold, whatever you want to call it. This was great. The final burial. It was Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, taking on Christian Cage. I'm just getting chills just thinking about this match. This match was absolutely flawless. The feud was great. The build to the feud was great. These two men absolutely brought it, and it was absolutely scintillating. Um, Cage blowing a kiss to Perry's sister sitting in the front row. I mean that's a heel. That's a heel. That's what heels
Mhm.
do. Almighty finesse, what's up? That's a heel. That is a heel. That's what heels do. Blowing a kiss to his sister. That was a heel.
Mhm.
It was like, um, and then waited too long to close the casket, but then it dropped when he shut the lid unexpectedly. Yeah, I like the outcome of the match. The match was great. The match was fantastic. It was entertaining. It was hard hitting. This was just I don't know any other words to describe this match. I can't. I'm running out of words to describe this match because this was just absolutely breathtaking. I loved it. As a wrestling fan, I've been a wrestling fan for 3 decades, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. This was great. This. I don't know what to say about it, but this was great. Rafael, what did you think?
Okay, so about Jack Perry.
Yes.
Oh, he's one of the promising baby faces since we came to 2019. He has been
Mm-hmm.
wrestling like in the championship against Chris Jericho, and he went to like in a multiple match pay per
Mm-hmm.
view, including for like the
Mm-hmm.
steel cage, and I think
Mm-hmm.
has never really felt like a true contender for the world championship, or even like because he was currently struck for the non-title field, another with the shadow of Christian Cage being like the Canadian Babadook, but he wasn't like afforded the chance to settle the field at once at Revolution, which is sort of like a coffin match with like a more than pomp and circumstance. But he had the bench physically as coming back from the jury, and isn't it like the pair like his his rare pal Ledge, and of course, and I wonder why the Jungle Boy hasn't been man enough to actually execute this plan. But the fans are feeling at first hand, and the results were really good for the second generation career moving forward. But it was just like inside for the most about it. Perry just took it a lot of damage with its opponent. It would have seemed like they wanted concept to a company match, literally, but they just found it with a chance and connected for the forehead is like under. But I was
Right.
like, maybe I had it erased in the piece, but I thought the grace and the precious. But it just like it reminds me of like it was like the casket matches, but much like incredible. But I would say that through all of the true contender, he was one of the most prominency like since 2019, and I think that it really embraced all these stuff like that, but it took like a lot of damage. It took a lot of them.
Yeah, well, this match was just they were just going after each other. They were beating the stew out of each other in this match. I mean, again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, folks, this match was phenomenal. This
Yeah,
match was phenomenal. Again, another great match. This was absolutely picture perfect. Great feud, great stuff. I'm telling you something. I don't know about you, Rafael. I cannot speak for you, but let me tell you something. I loved this pay per view from top to bottom. They did
yeah,
uh they did a damn good job with this pay per view. They did a damn good job. Yeah.
yeah.
So we across the board loved the match. And of course, it was as good as it can get. Now let's talk about something else that was really good. The trio's title was up for grabs. The Elite took on the House of Black. The match was a banger. The match was a banger. The match was fantastic. Um, one thing is out of this match, Matthews and Omega need to happen sooner rather than later. I think that that's great. The whole presentation of the House of Black was outstanding. The way they came down to the ring, menacing presence in the ring, the three of them, absolutely great. Um, you know, Matt asking King to tag in and then regretting it was hilarious. Yeah, he didn't want to get in the ring. He thought that was something else. Um, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the House of Black winning this match. I had no issues with this match whatsoever. I had no issues with the winner. The match was a banger. This match was great. It was perfect. Great timing in the ring. All three people played their part very well. Julia Hart got wiped out on the apron after she tried to interfere in the match. Again, like I said before, the House of Black rolled on and they became the brand new Trios Championships. Rafael, what did you think?
I mean, for the House of Black versus the Light, it was just like very interesting choice. When you're thinking about the two teams that have been like working matches forever, like the Kenny Omega, Nick Johnson, Matt Jackson, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi, it became like a true 5-star classic that was just right for some of the best matches they ever offered. So if they people like fast paced, synchronized offense, so that could be like the perfect match. As a House of the Black, they were working at the perfect synchronicity to a degree that could even match of the Elite. Because how about the spectacular? Watching those the Bucks work with Brody King is more than like excited like at the side for you to see like a professional wrestling. And so those are the classic PG spots to the chase center in front of the 9,000 fans that it cleared flawlessly. But yeah, I would have wanted to go to see like looking at the ring besides for the efforts. They just came like at the pack of like a pack of hyenas. They're just looking at the pick off the weakest link, and of course they either prove the match at so right, depending on the loss of the
Right,
titles.
right,
And that was just like that was a because that run that feud until Double or Nothing. That would
right,
be like an incredible feud between the House of Black, the Elite, and of course Jericho Appreciation Elite, which is they're gonna have to run this feud until the next pay-per-view. But I think that was really important to see about it because that was basically no bill whatsoever because that was just like an interesting choice because that was just like a show stopping as no one as one as well expected about that match.
right. I agree. I agree with your assessment. Um, I like I said before, and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. This match was great. This match, I don't have anything to say. I don't know what words can I use for these matches. I don't. I'm running out of words. This is great. That's all I can say. The match was dang good. Damn, it was good. It was the damnedest thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Yeah, yeah. LT, how are you? Good evening. Great show so far. Thank you very much, William. We appreciate it. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen, thumbs up for me. Great stuff. Great 8-8 stuff. Now let's talk about this next match. Saraya, Jamie Hayter, and Ruby Soho for the women's AEW title. The match was great.
Mhm.
The match was a. It was great. Great entertainment. Great stuff. Um, Soho looked awesome in the match. Um, Hayter's pop was real. Everybody loves some Jamie Hayter. Um, Saraya looked very well in the ring. Um, all that ring rust is gone. Saraya looks great in the ring, and she did great. This was great. She played her part very well in the match. Hayter retains the AEW Women's title, and it was great. Rafael, what did you think?
Oh, about that match of Ruby Soho.
Yeah,
I mean, there are some matches can tell the story. First, that was Jack Perry and Christian Cage. There were matches that was
oh, I think Raphael froze. I think we lost Raphael, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize. Um, He has some computer issues. Um, but anyway, I hope he gets that fixed. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this this was this led up to as I said the trios match. Um, this ended up from last night's segment where they finally explained why these three ladies turned heel, and um, yeah, so they finally explained why they turned heel. But the match was great. The match was a banger. The match was fantastic. These three ladies brought it. They brought it, and they brought the best in each other. And now we know where Ruby Soho lies. Now we know where she lies. And Hayter retains. Rightfully so. Right winner, right outcome. Again, like I said, I had no issues with this whatsoever. Okay, let's talk about this one for a second. I hope Rafael can return. Um, let's talk about this for a second. Okay, it was the Texas Death Match. Hangman Adam Page and John Moxley. Now, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. This match was emotional for me, and I'll tell you why. The match was, let me tell you something. This match was torture. It was gory. It was, it was a banger. I mean, there's just no words to describe this match. This match was absolutely one of the most brutalest things I have ever seen. And it made me brought out a word that I thought I said, what the fuck was that? When he, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, when he took out that fork and he was jabbing it in Hangman's head. I said, what the I couldn't. I'm telling you something. You have to go back and rewatch the stream. It brought out something in me that I thought that I would never. I thought I would never say. But when he took the fork out of his sock and he had it in his shoe and he took it out of his sock. Now I said to myself, now what is he going to do with that? And of course, you know he wasn't going to have dinner with it. He took he grabbed Hangman by the face and he straddled him from the back and he put his neck up like this and he just kept taking the fork and boom, 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 boom. And I was like, what the? And I was just like, I had one of those WTF moments. What the? What was that? I couldn't believe I said that on the stream, but it made it happen. It made it happen, ladies and gentlemen. And but this match was gory. It was great. Now I know most of you were like, "Oh, it's too much blood." Listen, that's what a Texas Death Match is. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And this was absolutely a banger. This was absolutely a banger. I had no issues with this match whatsoever. Right outcome, right winner. Um, and then Hangman came back last night on Dynamite and said, "Well, I'm done with Moxley." I don't know about that because when he interfered, when he came down to the ring to help out the Dark Order, I think he was trying to make a beeline for Moxley again. But let me tell you something. Whew, this match was brutal to the utmost degree. This match was brutal. Absolutely great. I mean, the way he took the fork and was jabbing and stabbing and jabbing. I mean, this was just. Wow. The both men absolutely brought it. They brought it. And again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen, you can't you can't make this stuff up. If you didn't like this match, I don't know what to tell you because you obviously cannot be a wrestling fan. This was just absolutely this was a banger. This was a banger. What else do you want me to say? There is no adjectives or words that I can describe this match, but an absolute banger. Let's see. I think Rafael is back. Let's add him to the screen. Oh,
That was all about the Rookie Soho because they're telling like a
right.
story that is to the Discord about it, and that was just like a face for like a comic movie. That was like very incredible, but they was just like they just decided to everything. I mean, the match was really incredible, and well, the internet was really messed up, but that was just like they were just decided to do it to the spot. If they not had the seeds to Saraji could go like 2-on-1 versus Hater to bring like the belts between the back, that would mean like that would be like gonna make sense of like a true triple threat match for them best because that would be like the mid credit scene like at the end of the show to help them make real sense for that match.
Yeah, well, again, yeah, I agree with your assessment. When you I'm sorry that you froze because we did move on to the next match, and that was the Texas Death Match between Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. And let me tell you something, Raphael. I did the stream this past Sunday night, and it brought out a word that I thought I would never use on the stream, but it did. It happened. This match made me say, "What the fuck?" I mean, this. I mean, this was.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just like, "What the?" I mean, as what you know, what part really got to me was when he took the fork out of his sock. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he took the fork out of his sock and he was just jabbing it in his head. When he did, I mean, this match was gory, physical, hard hitting. It was to the max. These people used barbed wire, tables, everything that you could want and more. Moxley and Hangman Adam Page, this was a war, and they went through hell together in this match. This match was phenomenal.
Yep.
Raphael, what did you think?
I think Ticket for the Rain defined by much violence. They just went through it. They're just hitting like with breaks, chains, barbed wire, bars, forearms. I mean, which doesn't make sense to like the practical business, but they sounded like the violent visual for a that match that I was like phenomenal because after the see like they just Adam Page just found like a level of brutality within the Regina Hara because he was hitting her by the neck because that feel was really done because they were trying to see like in another net this seems like at the final of the field between Adam Page or and Moxley because more bigger, more better, and more violent after the artist code because it was clear that it just found a way to book like a completely incredible feel without a title on it. And that will be wise to the right
Right,
of his future. But I
right,
think that we'll have a message for anything. But I think that Adam Page got us well at his back because with a large will bring out like the rope, he was like an embracing like more like Willie Nelson after this death match because it's not going to end anytime soon. Because they're gonna like it for example. I mean he has a really good message besides of it. Besides of it. And we're talking about like weeks, months about this
right,
feud. And I think they will officially get the better. Because it is absolutely just done. Because it was like anything can happen like this one. And whatever they say, if they're gonna try me, they're gonna push me, they're trying to go to hell. That's what the company, the field starts like they're just like fired up. They had the sparkle. they had a really good spark. But he embraced like a man with no names character as a god to style, with has no problem finishing about it. He was just only like the attention to someone that are moving forward. They had the tune of the next week that had odds going on for the feud.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the assessment. I tell you something, folks. If you, I mean, this was this just blew my mind. This blew my mind totally. Um, okay, so let's talk about this. The TNT Championship. It was Samoa Joe taking on Wardlow. Now this match suffered a lot, and I'm gonna just say that this suffered a lot because this match had to follow the Texas Death Match, and I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this just the way the match was put in that list, it just the crowd wasn't really. I mean, they were lively for the match, but not as lively as some people would have liked it, and that is because they just saw an incredible I mean, a flawless Texas Death Match. I mean, so
Mhm.
the crowd really, the energy in the building was really sucked down after that, because you couldn't believe what you saw. Um, but the match was okay. Um, I mean, at this point now, after what happened last night in the main event of Dynamite, I think Samoa Joe should have kept the title and then build up the feud with him and Hobbs. But that's just here or there. That's what Tony Khan wanted. So, but anyway, the match was okay. The match was fine. Wardlow winning the match and winning back the TNT title, only to drop it 3 days later to Hobbs. Um, Rafael, what did you think?
For me, about Warlord, if it comes to the go to the ring, he was really exclusively to retain that championship. But sure, that was hoping a man to use the durability against him, because while he was entering with more ferocity, as I had the same with him, because he was like embracing the chance to wrestle one of the greatest powerhouses in professional history, like like anything. And of course, that signature power bump was not good enough, but he came like the hard way, and he was like
Right,
absorbing damage as delivering it every day, like the TNT Championship. He was like a new strategy that Joe wouldn't have seen at the comment, because isn't not the only person who learned then something during the Warrior era, and
right,
Warrior just decided to take a lot like the page for the Submission Machine. But I will
right,
say this the new champion, because the good news is he's the new champion. But the bad news, he had now to wrestle to the face of the Revolution after the goes to Powerhouse Hobbs. And of course, he was lost in again this title. I think that the scene that was never taken like a pin for the strat, and instead of like the three-way match. But that was like, but that was, but that was in the came for the long way, and that
right,
was like the great powerhouses. It was like when it comes to entering into the ring and the fans when the brain said, that's how they work it. That's how they work it out.
right. Exactly. I agree. I totally agree. As I said before, and I'll say it again, the match was okay. It did suffer some crowd reaction. It did suffer, and that's unfortunate. But that's the way match list goes. So we're in agreement. It was a good match. I loved it. Um, now let's talk about this next match. It was the Fatal Four Way for the AEW Tag Team titles. It was the Guns, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, versus the Acclaim, versus Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. The match was great. This, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this very quickly. There are two people. There were two. There were four people in this match that I don't think should have been belonged in the match. First of all, Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett shouldn't have been in the match. That's A. B. Danhausen and Orange Cassidy shouldn't have been in this match either. But anyway, I digress. That's what Tony Khan wanted. He wanted to get him on the air. So Um, so we never saw anyone spend so much time in the ring before. That they were replaced by their own partners or someone different in the match. Yeah, we didn't see that in the match. We didn't see that. Um, right winners, right outcome. The Guns retain the titles. It was too soon for the Guns to drop the titles, which I'm glad to see that. Um, and then after the match was over, FTR returned and confronted the Guns. The match was great. The match was fantastic. Uh, Rafael, what did you think?
Oof, about the guns. I
The
mean,
Fatal Four Way.
the Fatal Four Way. Now, it is very sure the claim was incredibly over, and they had the potential to become more like popular if their reign continues on. But
Right,
if they are, or widely considered like the best tag team in the world, right there with the Usos, the Young
yeah,
Bucks, all the way down the 2 months that they left this contract with before they hit in, like the free agency, like
right.
they're really like neither at the duo to pedigree and then have the confidence to stay in like in another lane period to try run that the Bucks that are working are like they had to build a new star. So many promoters have done it before because they thought that the duo didn't wrestle for a second match that at this spot. And they
Right.
had some shots before the guns that just ran away, leaving the fans with a pretty incredible visual, like their hearts cut somehow out of the bloody forehead. So we thought the cool between Guns and FTR at Revolution. Yeah, we did be totally fun. But has had nothing on the World Trios match earlier in this way, but absolutely they just lead. We're getting the straps and include the indie guys for the soul. So that would be it. I mean, that was making a makeshift to the absolutely right because that was technically counted the best friends that I come for the made, but that was just like it was just not another because they just wanted to see FDR guns like the second part, but they came for the World Tag Team Championship. They want to see like the second part of this rivalry that most people they want to see it.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I agree with the assessment. The match, again, like I said before, the match was great. The match was phenomenal. The match was entertaining, and all of the teams that were in the match, they did their part, and they did their part very well. Every little nuance of the match, I had no issues with. Right winners, right outcome, and again, it flowed very, all of the matches here, ladies and gentlemen, every match that we've discussed so far, everything flowed correctly. Everything was done to attention to detail. And I had, again, like I said, it was great. Top to bottom, Revolution was absolutely flawless. It was fantastic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. This is the main event of Revolution. It was for the AEW title. It was Brian Danielson taking on MJF in a 60-minute Iron Man match. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen Iron Man matches before. I have seen I have seen last man standing matches, steel cage matches, no holds barred matches. This was the best. Here, let me listen to me. This was the best Iron Man match I have ever witnessed as a wrestling fan. This was flawless. This main event was a banger. This main event was a thriller. This main event took you on a thrill ride that none of us will ever, ever, ever forget. The feud was fantastic. The build was fantastic. This was 24 karat gold, ladies and gentlemen. This feud was absolutely flawless. I had no issues with the match whatsoever. The match was The match began to slow around the 20-minute mark, but they amped it up after that. And I mean, in the end, they were tied 3-3. We went to sudden death, and MJF won cleanly in the ring with the label lock. He used Brian's own maneuver to beat him in the match. Brian Danielson talked about the loss last night on Dynamite. He says that he couldn't feel his arm after that because he had to tap. You can tell Brian was exhausted. You can absolutely tell he was exhausted in the match. But this was great. This was picture perfect. This was the best. This was a classic. This
Yeah.
proved to be MJF's finest moment of his wrestling career. This was his defining moment. And he can last 60 seconds. He sure can. And for anybody who hating on MJF, talking about he can't wrestle, you are not a wrestling fan. You need to sit down and take several seats because MJF can wrestle. He's great in the promos. He's great on the mic. And this man proved himself this past Sunday night. Rafael, what did you think of the match?
Oof. From the beginning to the end, the Iron match was incredibly phenomenal. For the top of the bottom, I think that between MGF versus Brian Danielson was like a great classic masterpiece. It quite like a lot of reaction for the takeover for like 67 minutes our match that was incredibly phenomenal.
I think I agree with you. And it was great. It was great, ladies and gentlemen. It was absolutely flawless. The match was fantastic. The match was great. MJF and Brian tore the house down literally, and this was great. This was great. I loved it. Good stuff. Great A across the board. Um, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, please. Um, oh, Rafael, we lost him again. Um, like I said before, and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen, the match was flawless. The match was great, and again, Revolution was absolutely phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal from top to bottom. Every match left you on the edge of your seat. Every match took you on a great thrill ride. Like I said in the beginning of this stream, the build for the Revolution was lackluster, but what was produced was absolutely flawless. Zip, zip it up, put it in the books. It was great. This was the best winning formula for Revolution, and Tony Khan did it again. Revolution was great. Fantastic pay per view. Loved it. Loved doing it. Loved calling it. The stream was fun. Um, Again, go on the Hardcore Sports Network and check it out. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for my show. Excuse me. That's going to do it for my show, ladies and gentlemen. But I will be back in cyberspace again. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be back in cyberspace this Monday night for the Raw watch along. So I hope that you'll tune in for that. Be part of Raw as Raw comes to you from Providence, Rhode Island, in Providence. And of course, as the road to WrestleMania continues. Um, Again, like I said before, I want to thank Rafael for popping in and helping me with Revolution, rewinding Revolution. What a pay per view it was. We will never forget March the 5, 2023. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, Dynamite was equally as good, except for the main event. I didn't care for the finish. But however, the fallout from Revolution was absolutely great. So oh, Rafael is
Yeah, that was talking about.
so
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead, Rafael.
I was talking about the match between Brian Danielson versus MGF because I'll tell you something. You can never compete against MGF because he got the best promos, he got the best movements, he got the best finishers. I mean, you can never compete with him. He's the most builded wrestler for all time. He's the best. I mean, he lives for it. And I think that our match with Sting right there, that's really quietly enough to see more of this feud, to see more of the MGF. And he take it for the another level. But he was just
Right.
like it was really great. But they were just started a little bit slow. It's all the things that are good with the hurry and say off for the first quarter match. Because they're just doing blow for blow. They were like making the twos and all the things about it until they had to go to say like more finishers, like submissions and everything. But MGF got that fire that Roman Reigns doesn't. And I think he's gonna be like one of the best. And
Well,
that's what the thought about it.
yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you there. Roman Reigns. Let me tell you something. You can't compare Roman Reigns to MJF because that's apples and oranges. Roman Reigns has his own dominance. He has his own way of winning his matches on pay per view, and he turns on that dominant switch when it's necessary. MJF is a whole different league.
Yeah, that's correct.
He's a different person altogether. There's no way you can compare those two together. It's that is a stretch. That is a big stretch. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying. It's just that I'm not going to diminish your thoughts or whatever. But you can't compare those two. It's just too it's polar opposite of what those two can bring to the table. Um, but
Yes,
anyway,
exactly.
ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for my show. That's going to put a bow on it. Rafael, I want to thank you so much for coming in and being part of the show tonight. It was absolutely great having you as a guest. Again,
Yes.
like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to return to cyberspace this Monday night when I bring you the Raw Watch Along from Providence, Rhode Island, as the road to WrestleMania continues. And speaking of the road to WrestleMania,
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Madison Square Garden for the Road to WrestleMania tour, and that's happening this Sunday night in MSG. So I hope that you'll join me along with the WWE Universe as we converge on Madison Square Garden this Sunday night. The match starts at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, and we hope that you'll join us inside Madison Square Garden. Tickets are still available, by the way, at the Garden Box
Yeah.
office, all Ticketmaster locations in the tri state area, and you could be part of the road to WrestleMania tour when it rolls into Madison Square Garden this Sunday night. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for my show. We hope that you're going to have a great weekend. Again, like I said, next week on the Wrestling Experience, we're going to have a very special taping of the show because Mitch Kofsky and Matt the Giants fan will be here with me, and we're going to discuss AEW Dynamite, and we're going to be discussing a little WrestleMania as well. So that is happening
Yes.
all next week, all day, all night here on the Hardcore Sports Network. I'm Earl Cole. That is Rafael, and you have been watching the presentation of the Hardcore Sports Network. And good night, everyone.
Yes, have a good one.
Hold
Okay.
on.
Okay.
That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on.
Awesome power of nature, hot excitement of freedom. Goes after you get struck by lightning. There's thunder.